The Ancients' World. Chapter 251, Rivers of Blood 2. All the players standing around me are soaked to the bone from the rain, and I'm in the same situation. Sally won't be getting rained on where she's at. There are only a few minutes until the monsters are allowed to attack. All of us can see them crashing against the invisible barrier, fighting against it to get to us. I twirl the witness in my right hand a few times, warming up my body. It's been a decent length of time since I fought monsters. Fought at all, really. The players in our tiny group do the same as I do and start warming up their bodies. The monsters pounding on the barrier are stronger than the rest, killing the smaller and weaker ones if they get in the way. I'd say those are the monsters that'll come after me. Are you ready for this? Two players to my left have begun talking to each other. I turn my head to see the response the other player will come up with. He shakes his head, being honest. Yeah, neither am I. At least they're going into this battle with realistic expectations. They'll probably kill a few monsters before they die and respawn in the city. The time winds down, and the monster gets loud and rambunctious as they know they're almost free too. There is maybe a minute or so until the barrier is removed and the players are attacked along with the cities. It disappoints me that innocent NPCs are being put at risk, but some things are unavoidable. If they're willing to live in a city like this, that they must be willing to endure harsh realities and punishments. As we patiently wait in these final seconds, a world announcement goes off, one signaling the beginning of this test. Worldwide announcement: the test shall begin. Once the total number of monsters killed across Gaia reaches 30 billion, the assault will stop. Good luck to all players. You're going to need it. My body tightens up as the total number of enemies that need to be killed is announced. Killing 35 billion monsters across Gaia is no easy objective. I bet the idea in mind that every player has to kill around 3 or 4, but since there are isolated pockets of players that aren't getting attacked, that leaves way more for the people staying in large groups. It's definitely intentional. Pushing the limits of what the players can handle at this point, and I'll admit, the number is intimidating. I look at the players around me one last time and see their shocked faces. The barrier drops as I turn my head back in their direction, and the ground literally rumbles. The monsters are like a mighty wave descending on us. The biggest and strongest of the monsters are making a straight path to me. The players around me roar and activate their skills. I dash forward at speeds that slow down my perception. The raindrops are visible as I pass through them. If I wanted to, I could reach out and take one. The strongest monsters begin to move at a higher speed, but not quite the same as me. I pass the smaller and weaker monsters as I drive the witness into the heart of the closest high-level monster after me. I twist my blade and pull it out through the right side of its body. It suspends in the air now that it's lost its speed, and I continue moving at mine. Two powerful monsters try and attack me. We are moving at fast speeds while everything around us is at a standstill. I strike at the vital areas on the monsters, and the witness cuts through them like a sickle through a field. After these two monsters are dead, hundreds more behind them are moving at a pace that can almost keep up with me. It's like I'm battle monsters while the rest of the world around us is frozen. The rain creating weird shapes as our bodies cause the droplets to connect without falling. I continue dispatching monster after monster, but they never seem to end. Yet, only the ones I'm fighting are attacking. The rest are still frozen and on their way to the other players at the front of the city. I kill the last one that's immediately close, and I jump away and slow down, allowing the world around me to speed up. The weaker monsters quickly collide with the players. Others jump on the walls of the city and begin climbing, trying to get to the rest of the players in the city. I'm sent flying as I block a blinding strike from a monster still moving at the speeds I was earlier. Soon I'm getting sent in many different directions from the monsters that are strong enough to fight me use coordinated attacks. I speed up again, and the world slows down. They move at a slower pace than me now, and I dispatch them as fast as they come. I look as other very strong and fast creatures enter the city. I see another player moving at a similar or faster speed on the wall. Her hair is hanging outside her hood, indicating she's a girl. She's moving at speeds only high-level players with great classes can move at. She's got to have a class above legacy level. I watch as she uses an elegant sword and fighting form to easily kill the monsters after her on top of the wall. The moves are reminiscent of a duelist class. A powerful one at that. I know of many legacies and some legendary classes fitting that description. I don't know who it is, though. The timeline changed too much to know who has what anymore. I'll leave her to deal with what she's got to fight. The monsters I'm fighting move at almost the same pace she does, but she's a little faster than I am. This means she has to have a higher speed stat than me, which is absolutely insane. The difference isn't that big, but it's there. I redirect my focus on my enemies and slaughter them in the frozen world. Their blood freezes in motion once they die, suspending in the air now that the limp bodies are no longer moving at speeds that slow down the perception of time. As Sarah continues to fight his monsters, Haley is currently doing the same thing with the powerful monsters after her. Haley stands at the top of the wall and is using her superior speed to kill any monster that gets close with the heart's needle. The world around her is moving at a slow pace, frozen and still. The rain around is never hitting the ground as it stays suspended in the air. Due to the speed, she's moving at. Haley also notices the other player able to move at her speed, something she's never encountered before. Never in my entire time with my new speed have I met someone that can keep up with me. He is a guy. I can tell by his build and height from where he was on the ground. What really stood out to me was his weapon. I feel like I've seen it before. I stop thinking about the mysterious man and refocus on the monsters trying to kill me. They lunge at me, and while they are fast enough to move at the level that everything slows down, they aren't at my speed level. The heart's needle is easily killing them. Along with my basic duelist skills. The high impact produced from my speed is causing enough physical damage to kill them without using some of my stronger skills. As I have a slight break from the onslaught of monsters, I look down on the side of the wall the city is on. I see monsters suspended in the air as they are diving into the city after the players. I look on the side of the wall to the outside world, and monsters are climbing and jumping to get to the other side where the players are. All of them are frozen. The players at the bottom defending against the monsters are frozen in their fight. The difference in power between them and me is causing an entirely different style in battle. The monsters after that one man and me will be killed faster than the first kill down there. We'll be done before the world speeds back up. A new group reaches the top of the wall and relentlessly attacks me. Trying to keep up with my speed, and some of them are getting faster and faster. Almost matching me. It only makes sense the longer the battle goes on, the stronger the enemies get as they show up. Soon it'll be a match, and I'll have to start using skills. Chapter 252, Rivers of Blood 3. I continue moving away from the rest of the players and these monsters keep chasing me. They really are relentless. They are getting stronger and stronger as time passes. The more I kill, the stronger the reinforcements. I can only imagine how bad the slaughter on the player's side would be if all the monsters were this strong. I'm glad Sally isn't here right now. It goes to show how wise my decision was. There is no way she can compete with monsters this strong at her current power. I block a powerful clawed swipe, and I'm sent flying from the impact. I straighten up and get my bearings, only to have three powerful monsters right in front of me launching attacks. They are stronger than I thought they'd be, and the ones showing up now continue to get stronger. I duck last second to dodge an attack at my head, only to be hit in the ribs and sent flying into the storm and under the heavy rainfall. I flip and turn, regain some balance as I soar hard. Crashing through the suspended rain. Monsters close on my tail and still lunging at me with attacks. They are breaking through my defenses and speed. I'm slowly losing health, and that's when I decide to use some of my more powerful skills. I activate Heaven's Light and Protected by Heaven. The temporary invincibility and a huge boost in damage output tipped the battle in my favor. The monsters that were giving me problems are now getting annihilated. I leap away from the coming swarm, and they tear the suspended rain apart, and it forms a sort of frozen mini-wave of water. I'd stop to admire it if I wasn't in the middle of a hard battle. My health is just too high to be worried about dying. However, it did go down by a couple million from their attacks. It goes to show if I did have my mana aura, I'd have already been dead. The monster swarm is already on top of me, and they are moving and attacking faster than the last group I just killed. They are getting hits in, but I'm not taking any damage thanks to Protected by Heaven. I use my slash skill and my double strike skill on all the monsters. The cooldown times are non-existent now that the skills are at such high levels. I don't know how long I will be fighting at this speed and power, but I need to be ready for it to get harder and harder until it's done. While Sarah is fighting at a speed that slows down his perception of time, his sister is doing the same thing. She is experiencing the same increase in difficulty against the monsters as her brother. The wall is now surrounded by floating blood, suspended and waiting for time to speed up. The suspended bodies of monsters are quite the sight too. Some of them are still in their fighting motion, stiff in the middle of attack cause they're dead. Their bodies slow down once they die, causing them to slow to a suspended halt. They are speeding up, and I'm finding it more and more difficult to stay faster than them. I still haven't used any of my most powerful skills yet. I'm saving them for when it gets really hard. I perform a split and dodge a spear by doing so. The monsters now have weapons, and it's adding a complex nature to the fights. I use my left hand to lift my body, and I twirl out of the split, performing an one-handed handstand and kicking the monster's head right off its shoulders. I never expected the fight to be this hard. A group of 3 give me no break and screech as they attack. Using swords and spears to try and land an attack. I keep accelerating my speed. I haven't reached my absolute limit yet. I dodge the attacks, and I push the hand of the sword wielder towards one of the monsters and use his own attack against his fellow monster. They are now moving slower to me, and this group can't keep up with me. I noticed that the monsters after me are in lower volume than the ones after that man who was moving at a similar speed. What I can't get out of my head is his sword. I swear I feel like I've seen it before. A long time ago, and I don't know when. All of a sudden, my palms throb at a memory, and it clicks that's the sword that my brother let me try and pick up, only for it to crush my fingers as it pinned my hands to the ground. That means that man is Sarah. My brother was so damn close that I didn't even recognize him. I kill the monsters that are surrounding me, and I dash at a very high speed in the direction I saw him leave with the monsters after him. I know for a fact it's Sarah. He was already extremely powerful when we split up, and it makes sense that he's this powerful. His speed is almost at the same level as mine. I follow the suspended dead bodies like breadcrumbs, and the closer I get, the louder the battle gets. However, I'm sent flying by a huge wave of energy, and I take some decent damage. I have a legacy grade mana aura, so my health is decent, but that wave of energy took about 15% of my total health pool. I regain my balance, and my attempt to reach Sarah is stopped by my pursuers now that they've caught up. While this is happening to the Adamo siblings, in other places around Gaia, a battle is occurring on all fronts. Mainly with Violet, Chris, and Marcus Adamo. They are in a capital city by the name of Genoa, in the kingdom of Genoa. Since they are so high level and have powerful classes, the battle is absolutely crazy. The storm is almost as big as the one at the city of James. Marcus is using his legendary fire mage class to melt any monsters that get too close, making it look too easy. While his mother and father use perfect coordination to fight together. Violet is enjoying herself. My husband and I synchronize our attacks and kill monster after monster. You're doing wonderfully, Chris. I'd admit that I'm actually having fun. My husband and youngest child have been amazing to be with, and we've had many adventurers in dungeons and even more on quests. It makes the echo in my heart for my other two children reverberate harder. We stand back to back as we finish the immediate threat around us. I look toward Marcus to see how he's holding up, and he's doing wonderfully. Out of the three of us, he's grown the strongest. Being the holder of the legendary Fire Mage class, the Phoenix makes him extremely powerful. It's funny watching a little kid like him do more work than the majority of the players and us combined. He's killed the most with his attacks too far. It's not over yet, Violet. We aren't going to be done for a while. Chris's voice brings me back into focus, and a new batch of monsters is attacking. The storm is already over the city, and it's partially ruined. I feel bad for the capital city Genoa. So many innocent people have lost their homes. All of it is due to the presence of the players. I wouldn't be surprised if the players get banned from the city after this. Chris and I begin to use our skills and attacks to kill the coming horde together. Our classes have incredible synchronicity. While I'm busy killing monsters, I glance around the ruined buildings and roads. Players are fighting hard, and NPCs lay on the ground dead. Forever. I couldn't imagine that. Having to be put in the middle of immortal fighters and a powerful monster horde sent by the gods. To them, it was sent by the gods. To us players, it's the system's doing. I've come to learn a great deal about Gaia and its inhabitants. I've still yet to break the habit of calling them NPCs, but they are far from it. Marcus. Kill the coming group. Your mother and I need a break. Chris orders Marcus to kill the incoming monsters, and he goes with a powerful spell called Firestorm. While it's not close to one of his strongest, if he did use one of his strongest, the entire area would be reduced to a pit of lava and fire, burning the land and city into nothing. I wonder how my other children are doing. Chapter 253, The End of the Test. My missing son and daughter are probably fighting way stronger creatures than us. Wherever they are. Chris and I are taking a little bit of a breather, and Marcus is taking care of the current swarm coming at us. Don't worry, Violet. We'll find them eventually. We shouldn't worry so much anyway. They're adults and can take care of themselves. I'm willing to bet all the money we've made so far that both of them are doing way better than the three of us combined on their own. Chris wraps his arm around me and comforts me as we watch Marcus kill monster after monster. I wonder how close we are to that total kill goal the system gave all the players. With millions of players killing 1 to 2 monsters, it should be fast. I hope this doesn't last too long. I'm already pretty tired, and I don't know how long all three of us can fight. I know that, Chris, I'm their mother. I can't help worrying about them, missing them. They were a part of my life every day until we got stuck here. It's hard to shake that off. Chris leans in and kisses the side of my head. Worrying about them right now will do no good. As we watch Marcus, a world announcement goes off. Worldwide announcement, the players have reached the total kill goal, and the monster attacks on the players will stop. Rewards will be given out accordingly, and many should expect to be rewarded greatly for every little work. For those that did lots of work against stronger enemies, you'll all get bonus rewards. The monster swarms will stop, and the storms will dissipate. I take a breath and release a sigh of relief. I look around and see many burnt bodies that are also cut up. Marcus has done a wonderful job killing so many monsters. Now that the players in the capital city Genoa aren't fighting and causing destruction, the king is sure to ban all the players currently here. I stand up, and I'll say I'm extremely grateful for this young and youthful body. I couldn't imagine trying to fight in my late 40s. Being back in my mid-20s again is amazing, and while we haven't had a chance yet, my husband and I have been a bit physical. Getting to touch each other when the chance arises. It's hard to get any further than that with Marcus around. I can tell that it's really frustrating for my husband. We should get any supplies we can from the city before all the players aren't welcomed here anymore. Chris stands up himself and stretches his body too. He is right in saying that we should get any food and rations before starting our next trip. While the airships are great, and the teleporter is convenient. We can't get into many fights and dungeons traveling that way. We made the decision a while ago to travel by foot and through dangerous areas. Hitting any dungeons and bosses we come across in the meantime. Lots of other people are going to be thinking the same thing, so we should hurry. I add my part to the conversation, and we both walk over to Marcus as he finishes looting some of the monster corpses. The system didn't say when the rewards will be given out, but I can assume that it's going to be sometime in the next hour. Marcus stands up and smiles. I place my hand on his head and ruffle his hair. He blushes and pushes my hand away gently. Stop doing that, I'm not a little kid anymore, I'm a legendary mage. I chuckle and kneel down to give him a kiss on the forehead, further embarrassing him. I stand up and laugh. I need to have as many of these moments as I can. Who knows how many more I have left with Marcus. I'm not going to get any more with Haley or Sarah. All three of us make it to a part of the city that isn't ruined. I'm sure that every city and town across Gaia looks somewhat similar to this. Some players are going into stores that are still taking us. We head to a butcher shop and load up on supplies for all of us. The inventory keeps things fresh, and you can pretty much put anything in the inventory if it's not alive and it's not bigger than you are. We exit the shop now that we have everything we need, and there are already city guards and soldiers yelling at players to leave. That's also our cue to get out of here without any problems. We make our way to the city exit and start on the road again. We are heading for a coastal kingdom. Chris wants to see the clean oceans of Gaia, and I don't blame him. I'd love to see them too. Earth's oceans were beyond polluted. Only specially lined ships could travel certain routes. The marine life was quickly going extinct, and there was nothing we could do. It was too late, 40 years before Chris and I were born. The mistakes of our forefathers are falling on us now. It's a sad reality. I don't regret having kids. I never will. Sometimes I curse myself for being so selfish to have them, subjecting them to a doomed future. After Haley was born, I fell in love with being a mother. After we learned enough from raising Haley, I got pregnant with Sarah. He was so much easier to raise than other kids. Yes, he cried when he was a baby. However, he never threw a fit when it was time to stop something fun. He didn't demand toys and objects. Understanding our financial situation since he was young. When I see all that money in our account, I nearly died. To find out it came from Sarah made my whole life that much brighter. There is no greater feeling in the world than having a child be more successful than you. I was wrong in thinking that. It's when that child shares their success with you, showing that all your hard work paid off. That going without food to feed them was worth it. That sacrificing the free time you used to have for them was worth every second. I would have loved to spend that money and spoil the crap out of my babies, but that dream was cut short. I feel Chris grab my hand and hold it in his, pulling me out of my thoughts. What ya thinking about? You had a faraway look just now. I smile as all the memories I have with my husband rush back to me. All the years we've spent together. I can't imagine my life without him. If he'd die, I'd lose my soul. You still thinking about Haley and Sarah? I nod my head. I'm really thinking about my entire family. We are outside the city now and walking on a cobblestone path that's soon to turn into dirt. Heading on our next adventure. He's waiting for me to talk more, and I see no reason to. Marcus is playing with his magic up ahead. I was just going through my memories of all the kids of our time before them. She smiles and has a stupid look on his face. Likely thinking about all our restless nights chasing our desires. That's how we ended up with Haley in the first place. I elbow him in the ribs and bring him out of his fantasies. You know, we'll need to find a way to get some alone time. Marcus is starting to go on adventures on his own when we set up camp. You want to try then? I watch his eyes light up. Now that the damage to my body from having 3 kids is undone and I'm young again, I'm sure he wants to try some things. I'll admit that I want to do it too, relive the widest moments of our youth. However, I couldn't live with myself if Marcus caught us, which is why I have reservations. You really mean that? I look at him in shock as his voice begins to tear up. I can't remember the last time we did it. Was it the night we got all that money? He tries to stop the comical tears, but to no avail. I smile and lean against him as we walk side by side. We'll try the next time Marcus is away. You better not force him to leave. Let him go out on his own. He stays away for longer when he does it on his own. He nods his head, and to my surprise, he picks me up in his arms as if I weigh nothing. Carrying me as he used to around the house before Haley was born. It's a nice feeling I've forgotten. I lean my head against his chest, and I find myself drifting off to sleep. The events of today are starting to spread across my body. Chapter 254, The State of the City of James I. I take multiple deep breaths over and over again. I sheath my sword, and I sit on a log. I can't believe so many came after me like that. It was absolutely insane. I'm completely clean of blood, thanks to the speed at which I moved. Sally is going to appreciate that. I stand up from the log and turn towards the direction I left her. The storm wasn't even close to her. So she should have been safe. I start running extremely fast and leaping in and out of the forest. Heading for the hill that I left her at. I check the message that I've gotten from the system. System message: rewards for your actions are a 1% increase to your mana aura control and 50 levels to your companion. I blink my eyes a few times. Unable to believe the second reward. Sally has been rewarded for my efforts? I'm not complaining, but that seems really strange. Why would this happen? The system is playing favorites again. It's making my most trusted ally become stronger, which means something is coming in the future. This means she's going to be around level 120, and that's a big leap. I will have to ask if Sally got any special messages, but since she's a native of Gaia, she doesn't have access to the system. I open my player stats to see the changes as I close in on the hill. Slayer, Zirn, LVL.190. EXP, 3/100%. Title, The Son of Archangel Michael, Hidden, +3 more. Stats. Strength, 7095 Endurance, 7045 Dexterity, 7215 Speed, 8240 Focus, 19660. Mana Aura Control, 6/100%. Health, 76,560,000/76,560,000,000 Mana, 216,600,000/216,600,000,000. Stat points, 0 Armor Rating, 500. Inventory. Passive perks. Inheritor of the Sword, Son of Heaven, Slayer of Evil, Holy Willow Trees, Savior, Finder of Legends, the Divine who has legend destined for greatness, Dungeon Diver and Overachiever. Active skills. Heaven's Light LVL.59325/5900 Protected by Heaven LVL.59225/5900/LVL.774600/130000 Parry LVL.5380/5300 Double Strike /A King Slayer /A Raging Machine /A Winged Glory Angelic Flight Divine Pressure Exertion Divinity Pulse Controlled Fun. My health and mana have both gone up by 20 billion. Having stats like this makes me invincible in the battle against mortal creatures. It makes me ask the question, when I'm going to have to fight a god compared to a god, I'm still weak. My EXP level has gone up a couple of % from all the monsters I killed too. I take a final look, and I'm almost at the hill. My player info goes away at a thought, and I'm now within view of Sally. She's waving at me as I leap through the air. I smile, seeing how excited she is to see me. I land in front of her, and she immediately comes in for a hug. She tightly wraps around me and squeezes me. I can already feel the change in her power and level. How in the world were you able to make me stronger from where you were at? A strange voice out of nowhere told me that because of you, I'm gaining 50 levels. Do you new people really gain power that fast? She bombards me with questions. I don't know how to explain it to her. I've never heard of the natives of Gaia hearing whispers or gaining levels without helping in fights. We stop hugging and pull away from each other. She is looking into my eyes for answers. I don't know if I did, I'd tell you, but I have no idea what's happening. I'm willing to bet that others like us might have experienced something similar. That is possible, but we get rewarded based on our performance and total contribution to the total kill pool. I'll have to ask players the next time I get a chance to. Before we can continue talking, someone rushes up to our location at a very high speed. It's the same female fighter from earlier. I turn around, and we both stare at each other. My hood is down since I'm alone with Sally. I watch the woman twitch and shake from time to time. I see a single tear fall from the right side of her face. Sarah, is that really you? My heart fastens, and my confusion grows. I know that voice. She quickly takes off her hood, and I see my older sister. I can't believe it's really you. She runs up to me and leaps in for a hug. I don't stop her, and I give her a hug back. We spend a couple of seconds hugging, and only with Sally tapping my shoulder does it stop us. Sally pulls me away from Haley slightly and stares at my sister. Not knowing who she is. Who's she? Sally asks me a question that I didn't think I'd be answering so soon in my journey with her. Running into Haley all the way out here and in the city of James is truly amazing. Well. She is getting impatient. Before I can say anything, Haley walks up in front of Sally and looks her dead in the eyes. Her attention no longer focused on getting a question out. Sally lets go of me and lets her arms hand at her side, prepared for a fight. I need to stop this before this gets ugly, cause I'm positive that if these two fought, Sally would be killed. Sally, this is my older sister Haley. She backs away slightly and looks at me in shock. She quickly gives a small bow in forgiveness. I look at Haley, and she's a little surprised and taken aback by the 180-degree turn in behavior. Haley, this is Sally, my lover. I feel like I've spelled doom with my words, and I watch Haley's demeanor completely change. She is not distant looking and staring a hole through Sally's lowered head. I should explain the story, but for now, that can wait. I can tell you about her another time. Right now, Sally and I are on a mission to destroy the James family and stop slavery in the city of James. Haley stops what she's doing as she realizes why I'm here. She can see Sally's elven ears and obvious elven features. I shouldn't have to say why we're here. Sally raises her head, having felt it's been lowered enough. Sally looks to the side, avoiding eye contact with Haley. My only guess is from being revealed as a past slave. I watch Haley reach out to Sally, and I almost stopped her, but to my false thoughts. She places her hand on Sally's head and gently pats it. I'm sorry I was so hostile to you, Sally. I'm protective of my brother, and this is the first time I've seen him so close to a member of the female gender. As a woman, I was worried that you have ill intentions for him. I can see now that I was wrong. I'm sorry. Sally into Haley's eyes with a gentle smile and nods her head. Accepting her apology. She stops patting her head and backs up a step. She folds her arms and looks at me. I'm surprised to see you here, little brother. There's someone I want you to meet. She takes the backpack off her back and opens it. A white tiger cub pops its head out and mews. It must not be a white tiger I know of. Big cats can meow and purrs like this one. I look over at Sally, and I see stars in her eyes. How surprised would you be if I told you I'm in the city of James for the same reason you are? I raise my head from the little tiger cub, and I stare at Haley. I'd say I'm incredibly surprised. The only reason Haley would be here is if a close friend or person gave her a mission to come here. An ex-slave and someone wanting vengeance. It just goes to show that this city has a huge network of slavery that needs to be taken down. If you are here for the same reason we are, then it means it's a real problem. My response causes Haley to nod her head, and as we are having a conversation, Sally is too distracted by the white tiger cub. You think we should work together on this? I already know the answer. Haley smiles and tells me that she's looking forward to it. That is going to make our mission here go that much faster. Thanks to the chaos caused by the attack, it'll allow us to move more quickly and undetected. So, what have you learned so far? I want to know the information that Haley's come across. I'm betting she's been here a bit longer than we have and already has good information. Chapter 255, The State of the City of James 2. Haley has a lot to explain, and lucky the privacy of the woods is a perfect place to talk about this. She sits down on a log, and I sit next to her. Sally is too distracted by Emerald, the magical beast that Haley now has. I've got to say that it's pretty awesome that she's come so far on her own. She's a master of speed and precision. I'm sure if we were to fight, I'd never get a hit in, and my defensive capabilities would be too much to overcome, locking us at a standstill. This is extremely impressive since I have a divine class, and she has a legendary. It goes to show just how much stronger she is now. She looks at me and takes notice that I haven't changed in terms of appearance, except for longer hair. My armor and weapons are the same. I do not need to upgrade them right now. She, on the other hand, has epic grade gear, as well as a weapon I've never seen before. We should start talking about what have both come across. I'll start. I take a breath and prepare to speak. We are here to take revenge on the James. We learned that they reside on their own private estate outside the city. This is almost all that I know about them. Haley nods her head. She knows all this too. She wouldn't be planning an attack on the family without basic information like that. We also know they are connected to a huge slavery network. We are looking to put an end to that here in the city of James too. If we can, we are going to take whatever information we can on this slavery network and shut down other places in the process. Haley looks a little surprised at those words. Not enough to affect her plans, though. Sally has stopped playing with the magical beast and is interested in the conversation. Haley takes a breath, preparing what she knows herself. I've come into the same information as you. However, I was on my way to talk to some black market dealers before the attack happened. The event ruined my plans, and now I have to wait a day for the next meeting to take place. If it will at all with the state, the city is in. All three of us look towards the city as she says that, and there is damage. I know it's not going to be as bad as some places, but I know for a fact this is going to make it harder for players everywhere. I sigh and lean back. The cloudy area has disappeared with the storm, and clear blue skies are all that remain. The sun is starting to descend in the sky, but we have plenty of hours to talk about what we need. Why are you here, Haley? Out of all the places you could see around Gaia, you choose to come here for the same reasons we came here. I know you find it as suspicious as I do. I don't like being moved around as if I'm a chess piece. This entire situation is starting to look like that. That powerful people are being directed towards something. Haley leans back just like me and stares up at the same blue sky. I was given a quest from a dear friend I've made in my travels. She was a slave here once upon a time. She didn't have the willpower to come with me, but she asked me to come and do it for her. Since she can't, my eyes drift over to Sally, and my head relaxes. She has a sad expression at the news we are getting. The James family has been doing this for over a century, and it's time for it to end. I couldn't agree with her words more. She has the same premise in mind too. We want to do this stealthy and quietly. While we could just storm the estate and kill them all, we are risking losing valuable information on a quest that's attracted to Sally's past. I want to interrogate them a bit and get their secrets. I'll have to head back to the Adventurers Guild in the town and speak to Saul again. Get another location that they might be meeting at, cause I know they don't stay in one place for too long. With the attack, they are definitely spooked. I don't like involving the Adventurers Guild in any of this. They could end up tipping off the James family, and they split town. No, don't go back there. We don't need a corrupt organization possibly tipping off our target. From the sounds of it, you made it seem like you had no interest in the James family. However, I don't want to risk anything. It's better if we do this on our own and keep our dealings a secret. Haley looks at me in irritation, and I can tell she isn't happy at all. I get it. She doesn't like that I'm back in her life, and I'm already telling her what to do and not to do. As Sarah, Sally, and Haley continue talking, there is much panic in the city of James. The natives of Gaia are shouting and screaming at any player that comes near them, calling them a bad omen and a plague on their people. As this is happening, Kelly James is sitting in her office in her estate and sipping tea. She has a calm expression and is overlooking the city from her location. She is the only family member that hasn't invested a cent of her own money in the city. So that means her funds will be unaffected by this event, unlike her brothers. I watch from my office out my giant window and see the half-ruined city. This is going to cost my brothers a fortune. This seals my plans. I've won. I may not be the last James left, but my brothers are beaten, and I can ascend to the top as they crumble one by one. The barony will be mine, and I can put an end to the blight on this world my family has created. Lady James, your brothers are calling you into a meeting. What should I tell them? I can't help the smile from spreading across my face. They are bankrupt and are going to beg me to help. I turn around and look at my butler. I no longer need to listen to them. I can move freely. Tell them I'm not coming. They got themselves into this mess, and they need to get themselves out of it. He nods his head and leaves my office. I take a seat and continue drinking my tea. I begin to hum a melody my mother used to hum to me before she died. Now my brother's influence on the city will fall, and since they have no money, the people will riot that their city's owner will not take care of them. My brothers will be forced to either die by the people or give up their power. My plans have changed so much in the last few days, and I have reacted to those changes masterfully. I no longer need to play it slow with dismantling my brothers. The players and their fear of Slayer's Earn did that for me. I just have to bide my time for the right moment to ascend to the Baron rank and permanently deal with my brothers. Having the people on my side is going to be the most important, and I know that I already have that in the bag. Now all I have to do is wait for the riots to start and make my move. I set down my cup of tea and think about all the hard work I've done over the years. My father would be strangely proud of me. I hated and despised the man. He never gave a damn about any of his children. The only things he likes were women and money, and how he got those things. He always pitted his children against each other and found it endlessly entertaining. Now that one of his children finally won, I bet he's laughing in hell. I wish I could have killed him myself, but his old age took him, and I damn him for that. He died when I was 13, and just starting my plans. That was 11 years ago. I would love to share this moment with my allies, but I can't compromise them yet. The work isn't completely done yet. They will get their rewards for their help. It was easy to convince them. Why would they choose my cruel brothers over a chance of freedom and retribution? There is no better spy than personal slaves. They quickly agreed. Chapter 256, The State of the City of James 3. Haley has given me plenty of useful information. She's found out a lot in the short time she's been here. I can't say I ever expected to see her here, but I'm glad I have. How are you guys siblings? A question from Sally breaks up the silence. I figured she'd be curious, and I haven't explained everything regarding how we came to be in this world. All she knows is we come from a different world. She doesn't know the history, the technology, or means of how we came to reside in this world. So her question has merit to her. Haley turns her head and looks at me with an expression asking me if I want to explain or her. I turn back to Sally, and I see she's waiting for an answer. Remember when I told you we knew people come from a different world? She nods her head. Remembering that I told her this. Haley is my full-blooded sister from that world. She was brought here just like me. She is my sister, from our world. Here, I guess you could say we aren't blood-related anymore. Haley elbows me in the ribs, but it has no effect. Stats too high. Haley rolls her eyes at my lack of reaction. I look back at Sally and see how confused she is. The science and technology are far too high for her or anyone from Gaia to understand. One day when I think she's ready, I'll explain the whole story. Other players have told the natives of Gaia the truth of how we came to be and how we are connected to this world. Many NPCs claimed it to be insane and ignored our words. In a way, they were right. It turns out that the Ancients' world was an actual world. It wasn't a game. We were fooled. If I try and explain all this to Sally, it'll not make any sense, and it'll cause her to doubt me. Something I don't want happening. Are we heading back to the city soon? If we aren't going to be using the Adventurers Guild, then we'll need to start looking other places. Haley wants to get a move on, and I don't blame her. I nod my head, and I stand up. Sally and Haley follow suit, and we turn towards the city of James. It's ruined in many places. Only some areas are still standing but are likely out of commission for the time being. As Sarah, Sally, and Haley walk back towards the city, the people in the city of James are livid. Many are wanting to persecute the players and ban them from the city. Others are turning to the barons, expecting them to repair the damages and fix the city. Kelly James is making a move right now, one that will secure her place as the baron and eliminate her brothers. However, she has to take her time on this move. Venturing into the city at this point is dangerous, and it has risks. This is one of the final nails in the coffin for her brothers. I enter my carriage and relax on the soft cushions. I'm heading to the city to lay the foundations for a rebellion. Once the masses see me helping and reaching out, they'll see that I'm the only one in the James family that cares about them. Making them focus their anger and hate further on my brothers. My lady, would you like some desserts for the trip? My butler makes sure that I'm prepared. I take some sweets with me, but not much. He closes the carriage door and walks back to the estate. My driver begins taking me towards the city. I cross my right leg over my left and begin to eat some of the cake. It's becoming an addiction for me. I'm going to start getting fat if I'm not careful. I look out the window on my right and look towards the city. I can't wait until I can fix it. Make it a safe place to live and destroy the slave market. Freeing innocent lives and people. If Slayer Zirn and Salyandra Orvalo are here, then I'll have to cross that bridge when it comes. There isn't any plan I can make to secure my safety if they confront me. I can only hope that they'll listen before trying to kill me. See the good I'm trying to do. Let me live and rule this land so I can make it better. Undo the wrongs of my father and brothers. I've also heard rumors from my spies that elves are showing up in the city. Another sign that Slayer Zirn and Salyandra are possibly here. The elves' homelands are far away from here, and they wouldn't come out all this way for no reason. They could prove to be a problem in my plans. Who knows what kind of things can go wrong with their presence here? What if my brothers try and strike a deal, get a loan or something? If that does happen, then I have to go back to the original plan of letting Slayer Zirn kill them instead of the people. The possible outcomes in this scenario are unfavorable for me. It could end up destroying everything I've worked for after all this time. I can give a kill order on any spotted elves, but that could backfire if Salyandra is attacked. If they are here. I have a feeling that they are here in the city. I'm the only one convinced in my family that they are, other than my oldest brothers. The rest believe themselves invincible. As this is all happening, there is commotion in Zenith. The reason why is because more and more attacks keep occurring. All of them are directed at Queen Tessa. All of them are after the supposed feather in her hair. However, it has long since disappeared and is now fully fused with her hair, turning it a pure white. Even though the feather itself was golden, and the fury of Jackson is reaching new heights, and it's all because they haven't found out who's sending all the assassins and thieves to attack his queen. Any man would be man, ready to wage war. I sit on my throne with Tessa at my side, my hand in hers. She is beginning to look like a zombie, all from a lack of sleep. I have changed since these events began. After the attack on my city from the mysterious monsters, after the players and my wife constant danger. I don't know who's my enemy or who's my ally outside my walls. The only ones I can say for sure are the Dryads. My suspicions that the coalition is making these attacks have risen. Gregory's anger at my actions is obvious, and this could be his way to get back at me. No one is above personally attacking someone, not even kings. Where are we going to sleep tonight? My wife's weak voice makes my heart break. I love her very much, and I want her to feel safe in her own home, but that's impossible when she's been attacked in most rooms that are fully furnished. How the attackers keep getting in blows my mind, and I have begun a secret search for a possible traitor or mole in my palace, letting these assassins and thieves in. I lift my arm and reach over to my wife, wrapping her in a one-armed hug. She can't cry anymore. Her tears are all dried up. I can't help resenting Slayer Zirn a bit for this. If he never gave Tessa a feather from his wings, then none of this would have happened. We'll find somewhere, I promise. When we sleep tonight, we'll have even more guards patrolling and watching over the room than the previous nights. Hopefully, more eyes will keep the attacks from happening. I watch as my wife's blank expression twitches from time to time. All because of lack of sleep. Her eyes are hollow and deep, missing the vibrant light that I've come to love so dearly, and it fills me with a white-hot rage for the people who have done this. We'll find out who is doing all this soon. Until then, you and I will never leave each other's side. She doesn't react or respond. I take little solace in the fact that her new powers granted by the merging of her and the feather protect her. None of that matters when you aren't a fighter. Tessa can't fight. She hates violence. It's causing breaks in her mind that I don't know how to fix. The things her powers have done are gruesome, to say the least. Chapter 257, Plans Coming to Fruition. My carriage slowly enters the city, and it stops after just a few seconds in. I look out the window and see why. There are people clearing the roads of rebel and bodies. There aren't many bodies, but it's enough to be worried. Lady James, I can't take the carriage any further. The roads are too blocked. My driver gets off his seat and opens the door for me. I step out, and I can already see some people wanting to approach and ask for help. I can help bring relief, but I'm not going to pay for any damages. I will once my brothers are out of the picture. I start to walk down the street and look at the damage in more detail. The buildings that have been torn apart only have a couple of walls left standing. The ones that have been really attacked are all the way down to the foundation. My liege. What are you doing in the city? As I'm walking, my thoughts are interrupted by the voice of a familiar man. I turn towards the voice and see the captain of the knights, Henry. He quickly rushes to my side and orders some of his men to come and joining him. Henry is one of the few goods and uncorrupted men in the city. Before I answer him, I look at the people standing and waiting, looking for a sigh of hope in my words. I might as well announce my intentions. I'm here to provide help and relief. While I can't have buildings and homes fixed at this time, I can hire aid from independent factions. My brothers refused to help, so I'm stepping in and doing what they will not. I want to make it as hard as I can for my brothers, and my words have an effect. I can hear the increase in whispers and conversations about my words. They'll continue to grow restless. Henry stays silent at my side and doesn't make any sort of ruckus at my words. Soon the words I've spoken here will spread across the city like wildfire. Henry, I want you to leave me to myself and help as many people as you can. I have a place to go to bring help to the city. He is hesitant to leave me on my own, but he obeys my orders. He and his men head back to what they were helping with before. I start making my way down the road as I step over fallen rubble, and I help people from time to time. The more I show these people I care, the more they'll resent my brothers. My ultimate destination is the church. I need to send out multiple letters to freelance relief organizations. Getting help here as soon as possible should be the next move. Once everyone hears that I followed through on my words, it'll guarantee my safety when they riot against my brothers. I see the church off in the distance, and it's taken some damage. However, it's unharmed in terms of structural integrity. I walk up to the open doors and enter the building. Once inside, all I see are misplaced families. Mothers and fathers weeping for lost children. Sons and daughters howling in pain at the loss of their parents. While the only targets of those monsters were the players, there was lots of collateral damage in the process of the massive battle. Some see me enter but leave me alone as I make my way towards the mailing area. I take multiple letters and envelopes and begin writing. Setting their destinations to the proper places that will come and help if the price is right. The cost will be high for me, but it's just a means to an end. I finish writing the last letter and send them. I turn around and see many people looking at me, waiting for an explanation. Go and spread the word that help is on the way. Kelly James is here to help you. My brothers aren't going to do anything to help. Spread this to everyone in the city. I watch some faces light up, and others leave the church immediately to start spreading the good news. While the promotion of my help and lack from my brothers is heavy-handed. I don't want any misinterpretations of what's going on here. I make my way out of the church and look around the area. I should check the rich district and see how it's holding up. I'm willing to bet it's in a similar state as the rest of the city. I walk towards the rich district, and as I do, I can see people with grateful expressions, and my actions have already spread. I'm sure once my brothers hear of this, they'll demand answers. However, they'll have to find me first. As I continue walking, I eventually reach the rich district. I see fat merchants and nobles yelling at the guards and some new people nearby. I'm likely going to have to ban new people from the city once I gain control. Despite all the business they bring, my people's concerns will come first. The rich district is in rough shape. It's actually been hit harder than most of the other parts of the city. It makes sense, though. The new people love hanging around and buying things in the rich district. How dare you? I'm adept merchant Victor. You will treat me with the respect I deserve. My musings are stopped as I turn and see a merchant with a big head yelling at some new people. What's strange about them is they're all wearing hoods. I get a very bad feeling about all three of them, and that only happens when there is a threat or someone really powerful is nearby. I don't even know how this started. I walk up to the scene and take a breath. What's going on here? As I say that, the merchant turns to me, and he has a sick grin spread across his face. He's likely going to use me to try and scare these three off. That won't work. Before he can start blabbering, I start talking again. I'm Kelly James. I'm here to provide relief aid to the city. Who are you? I watch one of the feminine figures twitch a little. I look at her more closely and see the unnatural long blonde hair coming out of her hood. I've only seen hair like that with elves. I slowly turn towards the man figure in the group and study him. There are no defining features about him, but I have a terrible feeling that this is Slayer Zirn. In the flesh. The next thing I know, the male figure swings his right arm at the head of the merchant, and it explodes. I recoil in fear. This isn't what I had planned for today. He reaches out too fast for me to follow and grabs my neck, and holds me up. I'm struggling to breathe, but he loosens every so often to allow me to. Looks like we didn't have to go searching. One came straight to us. What do you want to do, Sally. He speaks and asks one of the girls behind him. The girl with the blonde hair coming out of her hood tilts her head, indicating that they are going to take me somewhere private. I can't help myself from struggling to get out of his grasp. However, he's harder than anything I've ever punched or attacked before. I give up and begin to form some sort of plan. The next thing I know, I'm off the ground, and he's holding me from the back of my neck. We are leaping from building to building. I don't know where we are going. I don't know whether to scream out for help or let them continue taking me. If Slayer Zirn can destroy someone's head with the swing of his arm, he can kill me with a squeeze of his hand. I'm positive people saw what happened. It shouldn't be long until search parties are sent out for me. My only worry is if I'll even have a chance to explain my plan and try to get them on my side. All the work I've done my life, it all rides on how much they are willing to listen and if they'll show mercy to the offspring of my father. Everything is coming back to bite us kids. The sins of the father fall onto the children. In this sense, it's very literal. An angel is literally taking me to be punished for my father's sins. I hope to God if I do die, my brothers will die not long after me. We are almost there. The other female speaks this time. She's not someone I was prepared for. So maybe I can turn that into something for me. Chapter 258, Abduction of a James. I land in front of an abandoned workshop. No one is around to interrupt anything. This woman has stopped struggling, and it makes me curious why. The James family is notorious for being difficult, to say the least. We all enter the workshop, and Haley guides us to the back room. She sets up a chair, and I place the woman on the chair. I must say I'm surprised. You are a relatively quiet kidnappee. People usually fight and scream not to get taken. We all still have our hoods on, and for some reason, I feel like she knows who I am. She looks up from the ground, and Haley stands behind her. There were talks that Slayer Zirn was traveling with an ex-slave. The ex-slave was one of my father's. She's Salyandra Orvalo, right? Color me impressed. I'm betting she isn't the only one that's come to this conclusion. That means you're Slayer Zirn. I wish we could have met under better circumstances, but maybe this is for the best. She has a cautious undertone in her voice. One that identifies that I can kill her in the blink of an eye. I wouldn't have thought a daughter would be in the James family. I can be wrong, though. I decide to lift my hood since she already knows my identity. Sally and Haley follow suit. No need to hide our faces since you already know 2 out of 3. What's your name? I want to know who I'm talking to. She might make this easy to the point that I won't have to torture her. All the information that I'm hoping to get from her will lead me to what I need. Namely, the information for the quest attached to Sally's past. She takes a small breath preparing her response. I can tell Sally is on edge too. It must not be easy standing in front of one of the family members to your abuser and assaulter. My name is Kelly James, and I'm the only daughter of the deceased Baron James. I'd say it's nice to meet all of you, but that's pointless with how you feel about my father and brothers. Hopefully, before you kill me, I can convince you I'm not like them. So that's what she's hoping for. She wants a chance to bargain for her life. I might be willing to discuss something along the lines of that. It really depends on how the following conversations go. She looks at Sally and me, waiting for a sign that this is the case. That's not up to me, Kelly James. That's up to Sally. She's the one that your family wronged. I look at Sally and see that she truly doesn't want to give this woman a chance, but I can see that she will regardless. Before we walk down that road, you'll answer any questions that I have. You got that? Kelly slowly nods her head, and now it's time to find out what I want to know. There are many places to start, but the best is at the head of it all. Who is in charge around here, for example? While Sarah and Sally begin questioning Kelly James, there is an emergency meeting happening between the church and the coalition. The reason for this is to discuss the war and where it's going. Cause with all the internal conflict on their side. The monsters are gaining ground and doing it fast. The one leading this meeting is Saintess Lucy. She is in charge of the armies of the church, after all. Not to mention that the retirement of Alexander Leopold has left a power gap in the church. One that won't be filled for a few months. Not until a player is selected for the job. I look around the room, and I can see the many worried faces of the rulers. 2 holograms aren't here. One is Jackson, and the other is the Elven Queen. They are radio silent right now, and despite my best efforts to contact them, they're not responding. Let's get this meeting underway, first things first. Where are we in terms of casualties? There is no more time to waste thinking about who's not here. I look around the room, and everyone lists off their losses. While the losses are high, they aren't as high anymore. This is due to the new people and their abilities to never die. Once they are killed, they get resurrected near the closest cathedral. The cathedrals are a mysterious thing. They appeared all over the world when the new people disappeared for a stretch of time. My best magicians and scientists can't figure out what they are or why they're here. Only that the new people use them to come back to life. They can't be destroyed either, and believe me. We tried everything to damage and remove the one in the holy city. Nothing worked. The last ruler finishes listing his casualties numbers, and I find myself a little lost since I wasn't paying attention. It's not like it matters, though. The death of a common soldier will not hurt our war efforts. The key to victory is the new people. Saintess Lucy, the monsters are increasing in numbers with the continued capture of women. Every city they take, it's going to increase their forces. I raise my hand to stop him from speaking. There is no need to talk about that right now. Everyone here knows how the monsters reproduce, and it's not something I'd wish on my worst enemy. I sigh and stand up. The war has reached a tipping point. We were winning, but with the problems in the coalition, we lost the advantages we had. I want all kingdoms to increase rewards for the new people. We can't win this war without them. I don't care how much it'll cost and what you have to give up. We are fighting for our lives. Understand? The room is silent at my words. Everyone knows that they are true and that it's the last option we have. While the use of legendary items may work, it'll come at a grave cost. Something that every kingdom will never recover from. As the meeting in the Holy City continues, there is a very secret meeting happening in Zenith. Jackson has called for his kingdom's best fighters and trackers. Be them from the Adventurers Guild or from his army's forces. The reason he's doing this is that he's finally found out who's attacking his wife. It turns out Belvia is far more desperate than they let on. Their treasure vault was robbed of all valuable weapons and items. Now they're trying to steal what they can from other kingdoms. It's lighting a fire under the king. Now that an enemy has been identified. I must say I'm surprised at the news that Belvia was the one attacking my wife, and I know why they did it. It turns out during the time Slayer Zirn was in Belvia's capital, the treasure room was robbed. Do I think that's a coincidence? No. Do I care? No. Far as I'm concerned, Slayer Zirn did us a favor. Now we know how weak Belvia truly is. We can invade tomorrow, and they'd not be able to stop it. That's actually why I have called this secret meeting. To discuss the war proceedings and reach out to the Dryads and inform them we are moving on, Belvia. My many generals are waiting for me to speak. I look like a zombie due to my lack of sleep. We all know why I've called this meeting, and we all know that war is on the horizon. So let's not mince words. Elliot, I want you to reach out to the Dryads and inform them of the situation. Tell them they are invited to my campaign against Belvia. I'm guessing they'll be quick to join us. After all, it's accelerating their timeline. They can't wait to get their hands on Belvia, and neither can I. Elliot nods his head and stands up. He leaves the room to inform the Dryads in a private holo call. The rest of the room waits for orders, and I dish them out accordingly. My forces and armies will be prepared, and will start moving as soon as I'm notified the armies are ready to move. I don't care which kingdom gets possession of Belvia once we're done with it. All I want to do is stop the attacks on my wife, and I'm heading straight for the source of the attacks. You all have your orders. Get a move on. My frustration leaks out, but they know not to take it personally. These last few days have been absolute hell for my wife and me. Tessa can't function, and I can barely function. Chapter 259, Learning Valuable Information. I stare at Kelly and contemplate if what she said is true. If the things we are looking for are locked in a vault, then we're not equipped to get to them. While there are other methods to get to them, each one takes more time than I'd like. I can get you into the vault since I'm a James. It recognizes my bloodline. It'll let me in. She's brought up many reasons to keep her alive, and the biggest being that she's been planning to take the barony for herself and kill her brothers. I'd keep her alive, but it's not up to me. It's up to Sally. I turn around and look at Sally. She has an expression full of deep thought. Whatever you decide, Sally. I support you 100%. I vocalize my support for her. I don't want my potential choice influencing hers. She folds her arms and stares into Kelly's eyes. Looking for doubt, and I don't think she's going to find any. Kelly seems to have put a lot of time into her plans to kill her brothers and take the barony. You can see the conviction and determination for her plans to succeed in her eyes. While Sally hates the James family, she'll see that keeping her alive is for the greater good. The greater good in the city of James, that is. As well as the connections it has to the slave market. When those are destroyed by the murder of the James brothers, Kelly can rebuild and make the James barony great. You don't know how much I want you dead, but I can see the good of keeping you alive. I want you to remember, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, I'll come back, and I'll kill you. I've never heard Sally speak like that. I look at her closely and see she is serious in every word she spoke. That seals the fate of Kelly James. She'll live and complete her plans. We should discuss how you're going to get us in a room with all the James brothers. Since they are our goal, and you better get us into the vault. If you don't, you die. Sally lays down the plan and final warning. Sally wants to kill them all together, in the same room. So there is no risk of any getting away. While I'm worried about Sally's bloodlust, I know it's only exclusive for the people who have wronged her in the past. I look at Haley, and I can see she's concerned about Sally too. Kelly looks at me for permission to stand up, and I nod my head. She does it slowly and fixes her modest dress. You'll never regret this. I've been planning for years to kill my brothers and take the barony. It would have been a few more until I could, but when the rumors of you coming here started to spread, it sped up my timeline. I've been using my brother's fear of you and Salyandra to my advantage. The people are already extremely dissatisfied with my brothers. If they died tomorrow, no one would care. Then that means we should do this tomorrow. I look at Sally and see if she's okay with doing this as soon as tomorrow. Now we need to discuss how you'll inform us they are all in the same room and ready to be killed. Sally is the one to start bringing up the intricacies of the plan. That's also a concern that I have. How will we know they're all in one location and we can move in to take care of them? Kelly closes her eyes and thinks deeply. While we could use magical items that might spook the brothers off before getting there, which isn't something we want. Kelly opens her eyes and takes a small breath. We can use a magical signal card. I can keep it in my pocket, and once I channel some of my power into it, it'll notify the other card that I'm ready. You'll have the other card, and once your card goes off, you can come. They won't know a thing since they can't see the card. Her idea is sound, but they might be suspicious that she escaped a kidnapping unharmed, which means one of us has to hurt her enough to convince people that she had to escape instead of being let go. I look at her, and I can tell she's never been in a real fight in her life, which means this is going to suck for her. Before you can leave, you have to take a serious beating. She looks at me in confusion and fear. Your brothers will get very suspicious of you if you escape kidnappers without a scratch. You'll need to take a serious beating, and I'd normally do it. However, someone in here will appreciate it more than me. I turn to Sally, and I see her raise her eyebrows in surprise. Kelly looks like she wants to protest, but my words make sense. Sally's mouth forms into a grin, and she balls her fists as she walks towards Kelly. A sadistic part of Sally is coming out, and I don't know whether I should be impressed or scared. Wait. Before Kelly can make an argument not to be beaten, Sally crashes her fist against her face, and I watch her teeth fly out her mouth. I cringe at the sight. While I have done much more gruesome things, I've never seen Sally do such a thing. She falls to the ground with blood pouring out her mouth. Before she can try and talk, Sally kicks her hard in the ribs and the liver. I hear bones crack, and I see Kelly has pissed herself. I look at her face, and she's crying. Sally moves towards her head and punches the back of it. She hits her face on the cold concrete, and I hear some more cracking of bones. I grab Sally by the arm and pull her away before she can continue. We don't want her dead. Sally struggles to get free for a couple of seconds but stops realizing that she needs to. I let her go, and she stands at my side. Kelly groans on the ground, and her body is shaking from the sudden trauma inflicted on it. We wait a few minutes, and she slowly sits up and stares at us with a swollen face. Haley, watch her while I go and get the magical cards. Hopefully, there is a shop willing to serve us right now. I don't indicate to watch Kelly. I indicate to watch Sally. She might try and finish the job while I'm gone. Haley nods her head, and I make my way towards the exit of the abandoned building we're in. I exit into the outside world, and I know I see a functioning shop back in the direction we came from. I saw it while jumping from building to building. I leap back onto the buildings and travel towards the shop. I find it, and I land back on the street. I look around and notice there is barely anyone around. I don't let it bother me, and I make my way toward the shop, and I enter. I walk up to the counter and see the middle-aged man stare at me. His face contorts in anger. Get your ass out of my shop. Filthy new people aren't welcomed here. I can understand where he's coming from, but I don't have time for this. I take out a gold sack with 20 gold pieces in it from my inventory and lay it on the counter. I see his conviction waver at the sight of the large sum of money. I take his silence as a go-ahead to talk. I need 2 magical signal cards. He hesitates for a brief second, but he takes the gold and heads into the back. He comes back out and hands me the 2 cards. I say nothing else, and I leave. I start jumping from building to building again and heading back towards the abandoned building. I land in front of it, and I make my way back inside. I head for the back room where they are, and I walk in. Sally and Haley are having a small conversation while Kelly struggles to stay conscious. I walk up to Kelly and hand her one of the cards. Get out of here and get some medical attention. I'm sure you can afford to have the worst of your injuries healed by a magician. She stands up, and wobbly makes her way towards the exit. Now, all we have to do is wait for the signal tomorrow. Let's find an inn that'll take us and get some rest. Both Sally and Kelly nod their heads. We exit the building and start making our way to the city that is least damaged. I'd stop off at the bank to get some more gold, but it's been destroyed in the battle. I'll use the last of my gold for a room. Chapter 260, The Night Before Revenge. We find an inn that'll take us, but I had to overpay several-fold. We climb the stairs and enter the room. A single bed for 3 people can't say I expected much. I sigh and make my way towards it, and I lay down. At least it's soft, I whisper just loud enough for Haley and Sally to hear me. Sally walks over and takes a seat right next to me. Haley and Sally are looking at each other. The atmosphere is awkward between the two. I'm going to have to sleep in the chair, aren't I? As much as I want to sleep on the soft bed. I'm thinking they don't want to share a bed with me. I know Sally doesn't mind. Haley, on the other hand, will mind. No, it's only fair that the actual third wheel stays out of the way. I'll take the chair. You guys can have the bed. Just promise you won't do anything while I'm in the same room. I silently thank Haley. I was really not wanting to take the chair tonight. Sally looks at me, and I can see that she's very happy with the arrangement. I unequip my sword and armor, leaving the only thing on my body underwear. I'm not sure how I'd fare in this new land without all the things I have, and the most underrated is definitely the inventory system. I watch Sally stand up from her spot, and she takes her armor and weapon off and tosses them aside. She's only in her underwear now too. She cuddles up next to me, and I can hear my sister groan in protest. You're just jealous. Sally chuckles as I make fun of Haley's comfort. While we won't have sex, we will sleep comfortably. Haley walks over to the chair and sits down. She's going to be cranky tomorrow. I lift the sheet and blanket over us, and we get under it comfortably. The light outside slowly falls, and an orange hue fills the room. The setting sun giving one beautiful thing to us before it goes away for a while. I swear if I hear anything weird coming from your bed I'll tell Mom the next time we see her. Now it's my turn to laugh. I'm not sure how my mother would react to me having intimate moments with Sally. My father would be proud, but Mom always said that if I ever wanted to date a girl or settle down with one, she'd have to approve. While Sarah thinks to himself about things not pertinent to the situation, Haley is also thinking about things. Mainly the amount Sarah has changed since the last time she saw him. She would have never expected her strange brother to find a girl that was right for him. It turns out he did find one, an elf girl that it. In her opinion, that's an upgrade to whatever he could have gotten with a woman from the earth. What she finds heartwarming is how easily Sarah accepted her past. Women who go through what Sally has aren't treated the safe afterward. Sarah isn't doing that. I'm proud that my brother has come so far, and while I was skeptical of Sally too big with. After I learned more about her, it was easy to see. She's suffered the same things Jasmine has here in the city of James. Both of them were slaves that had everything taken away from them. Sally is so much stronger than I could ever be if something like that happened to me. I'd choose death over being a slave. I look out the window next to me as I sit in the chair. I watch the sun slowly lower over the wall, and the orange hue gently fades away. I close my eyes and think about how easy this has all gone, minus the little detour with the monsters. I can see that our reunion won't last long. I have things I need to do after I'm done here in the city of James. He's always off on some extremely difficult mission. More often than not, I wonder if our parents are doing the same things we are. After coming to this world, they had no experience with it or games like it. Marcus is so young too, and I'm glad he has Mom and Dad with him. I don't think he'd be able to fend for himself. My new friends and allies are all waiting for me back with Jasmine. The war is progressing, and even more players are joining the front lines. The EXP and rewards are too delicious to resist. The average level of the players is around 100 now, while I'm around 170. It's not that far behind. The top players and grinders are right behind me. I wonder what level Sarah is now? He will be at a higher level than me, but I don't know by how much. My thoughts slow down as sleep begins to overtake me. However, what I dread starts. There are sounds of kisses coming from the bed, and I absolutely refuse to open my eyes. I'm going to make sure he pays. You sure she's asleep? I hear Sally's voice whisper to my brother. Ugh, this is disgusting. I want to leave, but I'm afraid of how awkward it'll be. The kisses resume, and my skin crawls. This is unbelievable. I slam my foot on the ground to inform them I'm sit awake. See, I told you. Sally quickly tells Sarah she told him so. Sorry, Haley. I sigh and don't respond. Whatever they were planning, I put a stop to it. as the night has finally descended on the city of James. Kelly James is being healed at her private estate. After she left the confines of that building beaten, she was anything but in massive pain. Her plan worked. She has Sarah and Salyandra on her side, and tomorrow marks the ending of her brothers. Word has gotten out that Kelly was kidnapped and beaten. The rest of the story is she escaped and is the princess of the town now. Of course, the escape was just a fabrication. Her brothers can't be suspicious of her coming back unharmed from a kidnapping after all. I sit in my comfortable chair with a subtle grin on my face as the mage continues to use healing magic. To my happiness, he was able to help the situation regarding my teeth. Who knew that Salyandra could punch so damn hard? I felt like I was going to die. The healer finishes as I look at him. I'm all out of mana for tonight, Lady James. I can come back tomorrow if you wish. I shake my head, and I wave him away. He takes his knickknacks and empty bottles with him. I'm presentable for the meeting tomorrow. The leftover bruises and swelling will convince my brothers better that I was a real kidnapping. Once all my brothers are gathered in the meeting, I can signal Sarah, and he'll know exactly where I am. As I tenderly press on the swollen parts of my face, the door to my office creaks open. My butler walks in with tea, cakes, and an ice bag. I've brought you some refreshment, my lady. I smile as he wheels the cart over. He hands me the bag of ice first, and I lightly press it against my face. Its cooling touch hurts at first but soon numbs the area. I pick up the tea and take multiple sips. I take it that everything is going according to plan, my lady. I nod my head and relax as the tension leaves my body. I'll leave you to your privacy, my lady. Call if you need anything. My butler lightly bows and leaves my office. I sip the tea and set it down. I pick up the cake and dig in. I swear he's trying to make me fat. However, I'd rather start getting fat than put off sweets for more than a day. I will have to reach out to the king once I've usurped the barony and make it official. The king doesn't give a damn what happens outside the capital. Which isn't good, but I'm using that to my advantage. I sigh as I think about all the messes I'm going to have to clean up once I have the barony. It's a long and hard road ahead, but after a few years, the city of James will be coming out of the cesspools of crime and into the light of legitimate business dealings. No more black market presence and no more slave market here. I'm going to be incurring the wrath of my brothers of associates. That is a bridge I'll cross when I get there.